Hello and welcome, everyone. If you're new to this, we just love to have fun and laugh a lot. So today is Human Design Day 3, and Wendy is a lucky winner of her chart.
Congrats, Wendy.
Don't worry,
Thank you.
all the replays will be up that you can watch, and you can still get your chart. We'll be meeting again next Tuesday to answer all your questions, but for now, we're really excited, and we're going to jump into, yesterday we covered what is your type. There's 5 types. And Wendy, what did you say you are? Are you a generator?
I'm a manifester.
Ooh, good. So I'm going to zip out of here. If you're on Zoom, you can raise your hand if you have a question. You can put anything you want within reason in the chat box. We call it a chat box. And if you are on the live stream on Facebook, welcome, welcome. Please share this out. This is really some powerful and fun information. And I'm going to zip out of here. There is Tammy Long Schmeichel. She is your trainer today. And there's Wendy, and she was the winner of the chart mini reading. I'll see you in a bit.
Hi.
Bye, friend. So, Wendy, do you mind if I put your chart up and I share my screen? Is that okay? If other people
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. Go ahead.
Okay, because I just want to kind of go through and show you and everybody else like what we're looking at and what the heck we're talking about, so you can relate it to your charts. I'm just going to share that with you here.
Thank you.
Let me see.
I might have to make you co-host. Are you able to do it without me?
I think so. Can you guys see it?
Rock.
Yeah,
Lady.
I can see it.
Boom.
Okay, good, good. So yes,
That's what your charts look like, live streamers.
Yeah. Yes, let me just set whatever I want to look at. Okay, so yesterday, I'll just kind of do like a brief overview of what we talked about yesterday as well. So this is, for anyone who hasn't gotten your human design chart, this is what it looks like. Yours is probably going to look different than this. You'll have different things colored in, different things not colored in, different lines colored in. You'll maybe be a different type. So Wendy is a manifester. Her strategy is to inform, and like we talked about yesterday, that's about just informing others of when you're going to take action, what you're going to do. That's just one of the manifester themes, which I'll talk more about the manifester again as well. So with human design, you're basically looking at your connection to your soul purpose. You're connecting to that so that it naturally flows through you, that you're not having to go out and look for it or, struggle to find it. You see your own personal place in the world, your own direction. You also see how to transform your conditioning from the outside world and awaken to your true self. So the neutrinos, which are produced by stars, are what create this lovely body graph. So the world is basically like a big neutrino ocean. So all of it combines to create this lovely chart here. There are, and like I mentioned the other day, there are astrology is involved, the I Ching, the chakra system, although this doesn't relate exactly to the chakra system, but it's similar. Basically, there are 7 chakras, and we are 9-centered beings since 1781. So that's why you see the 9 centers on here. It's a little bit different. So, so we have the hexagrams of the I Ching, which you don't see on this chart, but you'll see on your wheel chart, your mandala chart. There are 64 6-line hexagrams, and those correspond to our DNA, to our genetic code. So then in turn, the genetic code corresponds to all these gates that you see here. There are everything with the numbers on them. Those are gates that correspond to the DNA as well, and also to the I Ching. It all works together. So these 64 gates open to these 9 centers that are on your chart. So those are corresponding to the hexagrams, to the DNA. And then there are channels which go between the centers. These are these lines that are, some are colored in, some are red, some are black, some are both, some are not colored in at all. So those 36 channels are what connect the 9 centers together. And all of that means different things, which is too much to go into for here, but that's what that means. So the first thing we'll talk about, we'll just talk a little bit, we'll just review the manifestor types. So, so with the manifestor type, they have a really strong energy to initiate things. They're designed to initiate things. They're not designed to sustain things. So unlike the generators, as we talked about yesterday, unlike Brenny, Brenny can work all hours of the day and night because she's a generator and she has that sustainable energy. Now, Wendy, on the other hand, will have that energy to initiate that, but not necessarily sustain, not to be the one to work 24 hours a day. Normal jobs are usually exhausting for manifestors. They're not here to do the work. They're here to get things going and then hand the work over to somebody else. So the manifestors are the only type that is supposed to get out there and start initiating and start manifesting. And like I mentioned yesterday, manifestors are fairly rare type. They are about 8% of the population, so not a lot of people. I think I only did a couple of manifestor charts for you all. So when the manifestors get an idea, they can just go out and do it. They don't need to wait for anything. They don't need permission or help from others to make things happen. They can just, they're designed to just go out there and make it happen. So that's one of the big gifts of a manifestor. So they are energetic and driven. They have a very powerful presence. They tend to be very successful people. They can be impulsive. They do have kind of a mysterious aura, and sometimes others may be a little uncomfortable around you because they're not really sure what to expect. And this is where informing comes in. If you're informing others of what to expect, of what your plan is, what you're going to do next, that makes people a little more comfortable because then they're like, okay, so this is what's going to happen. Now I know, now I'm good with that. So, and the manifestor also needs breaks. They need time to discharge the extra energy. They need time to rest. They need to lie down and relax before going to sleep. They should be going to bed before they actually get tired so that they can discharge that before they go to sleep. And it's interesting too because the manifestor's role in history has been like the king or the high priest. So they were the ones who ruled throughout history because they were the pure doers. So they gained the power and authority. They established, they basically maintained control. So
Fire,
when
fire, you're all about fire, human reputation for those feng shui people following.
That makes perfect sense.
You can burn yourself out. That's why you can't work like the wood elements.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so like I mentioned with the 1781 timing, when we transitioned from the 7-centered to the 9-centered, that was about the time traditional role of the manifestor ended, and that we transitioned into that 9-centered being. So I wanted to go a little bit into your centers as well. So I wanted to talk a little bit about these 9 centers and what they mean. So we start basically, I'll go through, and I don't know if can you see where I'm pointing on the screen with my cursor? Or, okay,
yeah.
Good. Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Yes.
So like if we start with the top, okay, the top center here, this upside down, or this triangle here is the head center. And then beneath that we have the ajna center. Then we have the throat center. And then the G center, which is also the self center. The heart center to the right here. And then we have the sacral center in the middle. And then we have the spleen over here, the solar plexus, and the root. So you can see how they somewhat correspond to the chakras. There's a little more going on as well there. So when you have these centers colored in, like you can see, everyone can see that Wendy has 5 centers that are colored in here. And then there are 4 that are not colored in. So I'll explain what that means as I go through. But with the head center, if we start at the head center, this is our center. It's one of the pressure centers. There's a few different types of centers. There are pressure centers, there are awareness centers, there are motors, and then there are a couple that are kind of unique in their own thing, and we'll get to those when we go through. But with the head center being the inspiration center, it's a pressure center, about 30% of the population has this colored in like Wendy does. So there are more people that don't have it colored in. So basically when it's colored in, we call it defined. And when it's not colored in, we call it undefined. So, so these people that have this color in, including Wendy, are always the ones that are radiating that inspiration out into the world. They have a consistent, fixed source of inspiration. So when you get inspiration, it comes like in a specific, it comes through like a specific process for you. These people are always asking questions. They feel like they need to have an answer. And there's pressure from within to resolve your own questions, to be able to grasp things, to understand things. Now, if you were, for example, if you were undefined, you'd be taking in, like when you're undefined, when you have open centers that aren't colored in, you're taking in the energy from the environment around you, the people around you. So Wendy is one of those people that's putting out that energy into the world. She's not taking that in. She is in her own fixed way, and she has a specific way of radiating inspiration. So she's not being bombarded with that from other people. So that, yeah, that's probably all I need to say about the head center.
Interesting.
So then below that we have the ajna center. Yeah, yeah. And if you have any questions as you go along, Wendy, feel free to ask too. So
Okay.
just want you to know. So with the next center is the ajna center, and that's our center. It's like our mental awareness center. It is actually an awareness center as well, and it's an area also where we tend to research things. So it's the mind, it's the thinking, it's that describes that. So that one's defined for Wendy too. So about 51% of people have that center defined. So the people that have this defined are designed to hold on to information. They have a fixed way of thinking. See a pattern with the defined have kind of a fixed way of doing things. So they have that fixed way of thinking. They tend to like to research things. The way they think and the way they take in information is very trustworthy and reliable. They can count on that. They conceptualize the same way all the time. Their mental functioning is going to be very specific for them each time. They're always thinking, they're always processing. Sometimes they can become pretty reliant on the mind, which in human design, you never want to rely on the mind to make decisions.
Yeah.
It's great for thinking and gathering information, but you don't want to make decisions from the mind. So yeah, so that is the Ajna Center. Do you have any questions so far, Wendy?
No, I'm taking it all in. This is new for me, so this is great.
Yeah, go ahead. So if I go too fast, just let me know too, because sometimes I tend to get blabbering away. So.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, good. Okay, so then the square center below that is the throat center, and that is our center for communication and manifesting things into action. It's basically like a gearbox that needs to be connected to a motor to really get things moving, which I'll explain what that is when we get to the motor center. But so it's kind of like a gearbox that's connected to the motor that gets things moving into action. So the throat center is defined like it is in Wendy's chart in about 71% of people. So most people have a defined throat. So basically with throat center, you are communicating using words and actions to create change. If you have the center defined, you'll have a very fixed way of speaking and acting. You're one of those people that will you're able to keep on doing, but you need to be aware of that point, of that burnout point, because they may feel like they can keep doing, but it's only good to a certain point.
Yeah.
And that's because yours is connected to a motor. So you, if you have a defined throat, sometimes people with defined throats will talk a lot, or they'll try to do a lot. They'll be impulsive as well. So what they want to do is to use their strategy and authority, which your strategy is to inform, and your authority is right above that. So you'll want to use your strategy and authority to know when to communicate, when to act, because if you have a defined throat, you may just go forward and just, kind of blurt things out or do things whenever. So
not me.
You want to know when to do that.
Not me.
So yeah, with that, there's basically, and I forgot to mention this before, but there's basically for both the defined and the undefined people, there is like a healthy way of expressing a healthy way of being defined and an unhealthy way of being defined, a healthy and unhealthy way of being undefined. So basically, for example, an unhealthy way for the defined throat to act would be like speaking and acting prematurely. So
I've learned that one.
Yes, I think we all have. Okay, and then the center right below that, the diamond-shaped center, is the G center, which is also called the self-center. It's our center for our identity, our direction in life. It's also the center for love. So that is defined in 46% of people. So when you have a defined G center, you have that fixed sense of love and direction and of self-identity. If you are in the healthy state, you will be comfortable with your identity. You'll be comfortable with loving yourself. And you'll be comfortable with your life direction. These people are natural guides who can point out new directions to others, because those undefined people will take in that energy from you. So you would be really good at pointing out possible new directions for the undefined people who are maybe not sure of what their direction actually is. So now if you're in the unhealthy state, an example of that would be like if you're trying to lead others without them asking you to lead them, like if you just kind of jump in and make yourself the leader. So that would be like the unhealthy side of the defined G center. So then right below that, and this is the last of Wendy's defined centers, this is the heart center. This is all about our willpower, our ego, the material world, self-esteem, and self-worth. So this is one of the motor centers. And I think I forgot to mention the G center is basically our compass. It's the only, so it's kind of like our center from where we run everything from. But the heart center is one of the motor centers. So that's one of the action centers, basically. So about 35% of people have the heart center defined. So if you have that defined, you will have consistent access to your willpower. You'll have a natural sense of self-worth, a fixed operating, like if you're making promises and bargains. If you're in the healthy state, you'll have no problem keeping promises. You're going to be one of those people who does what they say they're going to. You'll be able to balance work and rest. You'll tend to enjoy your work, and you enjoy following through in your commitments. And you're always looking to create success, and sometimes can be competitive to some extent, not in a, not necessarily in a bad way or anything, but just, kind of trying to be better and be, keep improving.
That's right
So if
there.
you're in an unhealthy, does that sound accurate to
Oh
you?
yeah, yeah. I'm always trying to improve myself.
Okay, yeah, that definitely sounds like the defined heart center. So if you're in the unhealthy state, then you may expect the undefined heart people around you to be like yourself, because you are this way. So a lot of times we are like, well, how come I'm this way but these people aren't? So those people just don't have that willpower, don't have that access to they don't have that access to that willpower and be able to do all of those things necessarily that you are able to do. The other unhealthy side of the defined heart is if you get carried away with the ego, or if you get forceful with other people trying to get them to be, do things more the way you do. So then below, now we start getting into your undefined centers. So this first one is the sacral center. So now you'll get an idea of what it's like if you are undefined rather than defined, since you've had all these other centers defined. So the sacral center is our center of vitality, sexuality, persistence, fertility. It's another motor, and it's basically our life force energy is contained in the sacral. So about 30% of people have this center undefined, like Wendy does. So most people actually have it defined. And when you have it undefined, you're basically taking in the energy of other people, and you're magnifying that by like 200%. You're magnifying that like crazy. So you are taking in that energy. You are running on the energy of the others around you. And when you're undefined, you take in that energy and you think it's your energy. So if you're getting a lot of energy coming in, and you're feeling like, wow, I have a lot of energy, but it's actually the energy of the people that you're around. So when those people go away, you may crash and burn because it wasn't your energy to begin with. Yeah, so you're very you're not equipped to have that same energy that the defined people are. We can run on that for a while. I'm a type 2 that kind of runs on other people's energy or feels other people's energy. You also would be very sensitive to the energy of people, environments.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. Get their headaches if I don't.
Yeah.
I learned a long time ago to block that because big time.
I totally get that. I am the same way. So if you're in an environment with the wrong people, or if you're in the wrong environment, it's going to drain your energy, and it may burn you out with that. And you'll feel, and obviously you are very aware of when that's happening for you. So, and you also may take on more work than is healthy for you. You may feel like, oh, I can do all this work, and then
yeah.
And later it's just like, oh my God, this was way too much. So and that goes the other way too. Like, you'll take in the energy of the people around you, but when other people are exhausted around you, worn out, you may feel like that is your own as well. Because when you have the open center, you're getting all this energy coming at you from all these different directions. And when you're undefined, sometimes you know when it's yours and when it's not yours. So when you have undefined centers, it's good to let that energy just kind of pass through.
Yeah,
and just
I've been
know
learning
that it's
that.
not yours.
Right,
Don't take it in. Yeah.
So Tammy, one of the questions is, are all the defined centers always the same color? Like the heart center, are they all red, or is it maybe green sometimes, or yellow?
It depends on where you're creating your chart. So it doesn't really matter for, like, there's a couple different like places that teach human design, and they use different colors, and it doesn't really mean anything. I think they're just differentiating themselves from each other. So the color doesn't make a difference. It's just whether it's colored in or not.
Does that ever change where, you're colored, maybe not colored, and then you become colored in?
It doesn't in your regular chart. But the interesting thing is, like, when you are around different people that have different centers colored in or not, you're going to, like if you looked at your, basically your transits, kind of like with your astrology transits, if you looked at your transits when you're with different people or you're getting different energy from the stars that's coming through, then like if you looked at a transit chart, your colors, your definitions may change. But
Like
that's
Wendy,
temporary.
I'm completely the opposite of you. The upper
I noticed.
have nothing. And that's why it's interesting, because I'm like, when she's talking about you, I am just doing the opposite. And I'm like, oh yeah.
Yes.
You're fire and you try and burn up wood, Wendy.
Not anymore.
Yeah, that's right. You're understanding your chart and you're understanding me.
Yeah. So basically the thing to know is just that when you have an undefined sacral center, you have inconsistent energy going to come and go. And you just need to know when it's yours, when it's not yours, when you need rest, and to honor that when you need rest, to make sure that you are taking time to do that, because a lot of us with the undefined sacrals are going to get worn out pretty easily by the energies around us. So,
well, I recognize when it's negative energy, when somebody's upset or angry or in pain, but I've never thought of it as in the other direction, where people are maybe energized, like hanging around Brenny. I guess I could feed on her.
Yeah, so that's
don't tell her I said that.
Energy vampire. You know,
That's a
the way
perfect
how
example.
I see it is, so you burn up some of the wood, so I'm giving you the fuel, you know, and you're taking away so I can actually sleep at night.
There you go.
So thank you.
All right.
Yeah, so like if we get this fuel from Brenny and then she goes away later on, that's probably when we'll collapse and burn, because that was never our energy to begin with.
Well, I'll tell you what I find super interesting about this is, Tammy and I have talked about this live event I'm going to do, and I said, oh, now I see it in a whole different way, because I like having breaks and stuff, because I like being in nature, and it's going to be now like, okay, so now all the projectors go take a nap, and we'll see you this afternoon, and I'll see you outside, you know, we can play, you know, golf or something. It's a great way. That's one reason I wanted to do human design, because it lets you see yourself, but it also lets you see others, whether it's your family or you're co-creating or it's your business. It gives you a different perspective. Yes. And you understand others better instead of, you know, why are they like me?
Yeah, that's so important in human design too, because we not only get to know ourselves really deeply, but then we understand others around us a lot better. We just see, you know, when we are close to people and we know their types, we can actually experiment with that, and we can, you know, see how.
I was actually joking with Tammy about it yesterday, because it's like, well, send me this and this, but it's okay. Go take a nap first. And I'll just go to the webpage. And it's like, now that I understand, because before I would have been going, oh, come on, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Because I'm generator.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, that is true. Yeah, so then, okay, so that was it for the solar, or not the
sacral?
The sacral, yes. Oh my gosh, it starts with an S here. So,
I do that too.
Another S. So the spleen center is about our intuition and our instinct, our body consciousness, and basically our survival. It's another awareness center. So if you have an undefined spleen, like Wendy does, that's about 47% of people, so it's pretty close to 50-50. So if you have an undefined spleen, it's not healthy for you to be spontaneous. It's not healthy for you to just jump up and say, oh, I'm going to do this. Or, you also have a gift to see when other people are not well. You're sensitive to their health as well as your own health. So you'll just have, you may not, you know, consciously know exactly what's going on, but you will just have a sense, you know, that somebody's well or not well.
Yeah.
And when you have an undefined spleen, it makes, and this is true of the other undefined centers too, you feel more comfortable when you're around the defined people because they have that consistent energy. So a lot of times if you're around, like, say, a defined spleen, you're going to feel just more secure around a defined spleen because the spleen is relating to survival. So if you'll feel like, if you're an undefined spleen, you came into this world just feeling kind of like that you're not safe in the world, that you're not going to be able to survive in the world. And that may be coming from, when you were a very young age. So you may be a little dependent upon the people that have the defined spleens to feel like you're safe and that it's okay to be here. There are a lot of healers that actually have undefined spleens because they can pick up on the energy from others so easily. They can see what's going on and how to help them with that. So the undefined spleens too can tend to hang on to things that are not good for them, like getting that false security, like maybe through a relationship that's not good for them, or a situation, a job, that's not serving them. So they tend to do that, just to get that sense of security.
And how many of us?
So if you have
how many of
undefined?
Yeah.
Undefined is about 47%, so it's pretty much half and half. So a lot of us are. Yeah, and so if you are living on the healthy side of your undefined spleen, then you're able to discern between when there's a problem with your own health, or if you're picking that up from the environment, you'll be able to sense when someone or something is not good for you. And just use your strategy and authority, like if you're entering into a new relationship or situation that you're not really sure about right away. And it's a really good idea to pay attention to your own health because you'll pick up things, that will tell you when something's off, very subtle things sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is way accurate.
I'm glad to hear it's resonating with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very subtle changes within me, I notice. So.
Yeah. And then no problem. So the next center is the solar plexus center, and that is over here where Mr. is. So that one is also undefined, obviously, because it's not colored in. So that's the center for our emotional awareness, spirit, and it's another awareness, and it's also a motor center. So it's a couple of different things. So if you have an undefined solar plexus, you're probably very empathetic. Again, you can pick up things from other people. Your emotions are going to be conditioned by the environment. There's kind of an emotional wave that goes on. So because half of us are undefined, half of us are defined. So if we're undefined, we're going to really be feeling that emotional wave of everything around us, whatever they're feeling, we're going to be taking that in and amplifying that as well. We're going to be very vulnerable to the needs of others and the moods of others. We'll be feeling those emotions that aren't ours, and sometimes it's hard to differentiate, and it might throw us into a little bit of emotional chaos. So what we want to do again, if we pay attention to our strategy and authority, then we can discern, when we're in a healthy state, we can discern like who around us and what around us is emotionally healthy or not. If you feel like you're in a situation where you may have to decide between confronting someone or walking away, then you'll be aware of what is going to serve your highest good and the other person's highest good. And they will realize that the emotions they take in are going to be, a lot of those emotions are going to be from others. Most of the time, it's probably not going to be their own emotions, and they just kind of let those flow through. They don't attach. They just kind of acknowledge them, say, okay, this isn't mine, and just wish it on its way. And
that's good advice. I like that one. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're in an unhealthy state with the solar plexus, you'll be bouncing up and down in those emotional waves. You'll feel like it's your emotions that are out of control, that something's wrong with you. You'll make spontaneous emotional decisions. You'll kind of avoid confrontation, and you don't want to rock the boat with people. You'll feel like you need to be nice and that you don't want to stir anything up or stir anybody up. I can certainly relate to that. I have an undefined solar plexus too. Yeah.
Okay, so are you saying those of us with a defined solar plex are confrontational and not afraid to confront people? I happen to have a defined solar plex. I'm like listening, going, running away. Nope, not me. Don't want to confront. Oh, not the ox, not the Taurus in me. So you know what's wonderful? That what I love about this is not only do you understand yourself better, but it also validates why you react the way you do, because there's quiet little buttercups, and then there's people like me. And you know, there's a reason that we're
not a quiet little buttercup.
Did she just call us buttercups?
I think she did.
Energy compared to my big, bold energy. It's like, I have been called buttercup lately. There's a reason I'm confrontational.
Okay. And then now we have the root center, last but not least. So the root center is another pressure center. So you can kind of look at it as the root center is pressure center, and also the head center is a pressure center. So it's kind of like being in a pressure sandwich, depending on which centers are defined, which ones are undefined. It's also a motor, so it's got kind of dual duty there. So if it's undefined, like Wendy's is, you're open to pressure from others, but you just must be careful to take on the correct pressure. Like if you have it defined, you have that consistent way of processing pressure. About 32% of people are undefined. So a lot more people have that defined. And if you're undefined, you'll feel that pressure from others as well. So, so basically the root is going to be like that hurry up and get it done energy. It's going to be like that. And you're going to feel that from those defined roots, because they are used to hurrying up and getting it done, because that's, they're able to consistently do that. But if you have that undefined, you can do things fast, but you're not doing it for the purpose of getting rid of the pressure necessarily. It can it can almost make you hyperactive. If you're constantly feeling like you have that pressure and you need to get rid of that, so you go do things like, say you're in line at a sandwich shop or something, and you're waiting in line. If you're an undefined route, you can kind of feel the pressure of that line building behind you. You're up there placing your order. You feel this line getting longer behind you without even looking. It's getting longer, and you're just feeling that pressure. I need to get going. I need to get this done. And then you see the guy who's like putting onions on your sandwich, and you didn't want onions, but you're just going to take whatever he gives you because you want to get out of there. You don't want
I feel it, but I won't do it anymore.
I do the same. I totally understand that too. Yeah, it's just, I can relate to that very much.
So what do all the lines, colored and uncolored, what does that
Those are, like, if you look at all the numbers, these are your gates. So from your gate, there may or may not be a channel. So like what would be considered a channel would be something that is in black, because black is like your conscious, like your conscious personality design. And anything in red is your unconscious design. So like if you have a channel, and the channels all mean different things, it's a lot to go into here, but like, say that for this channel here, this 31 to 7, that's your conscious design. So you're going to, for what that channel means, you're going to be aware of that consciously. Now this other channel that is defined, it's just in red. So that's basically like your unconscious design. One thing I should explain that I don't think I explained the other day was, so we each have we have a design we have a design chart, and then we have our chart, our regular chart, which is the conscious chart. So our conscious chart came about at the moment of our birth. And the design chart came about 3 months, I think it's 88 days exactly. That came about 3 months before our birth. So we have this design that we, a lot of people like it. You have a lot of these red channels. So these channels are going to be things that other people will see in you more than you will see in yourself, because you're not really conscious of them, but other people will definitely see that. And the black channels and the channels that are colored in red and black, like the red and black, will be both unconscious and conscious. So you'll be aware of it and other people around you will see it. And if it's just red, you'll probably have people close to you telling you something, and you'll be like, I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah. So
What does it mean, like if you have like the half red and then it's half white, or it's half white and it's half black? Is that missing some of the energy to completely flow through the channel?
yeah, you're not, you don't have a complete channel unless it's all the way like this red one. And actually, you don't have a complete channel unless it's black either. So just the black are considered complete channels. And then if something's half colored in, or if it's all colored in but it's red, it's basically, it's activating this gate that it's coming from, but it's not a complete channel because it's not activating the opposite gate that, would be connecting to it if it was filled in, if that makes sense.
I have no black channels that are complete, and
Yes.
2 red.
Oh yeah. Yes, I only have one. I have one black and red channel. That's the only one that I have that's completely, completely considered a channel too. So
These charts exactly let you know that there are no 2 people on the planet exactly the same.
Yeah,
This is
totally.
totally explains in a very complex way that no way everybody's red is the same, or the black,
Right.
or the gate. So it's really interesting.
Yeah, and then it goes deeper too. I mean, there are things like circuitry and things like we're different channels that mean different things as well. So I mean, it can go as deep as you want it to go. Basically, it gets pretty
Okay, Margot has a
pretty
question about the one at the top up here between the 2 triangles that's half red and half black, where it's complete, but it's both of the energies you just described.
Yeah, so that one, since it's not completely black, it's going to be activating this, I think it's 63, I can't read my...
Yeah, 63.
Yeah, so that's going to be activating 63, and that's an energy that she's going to be conscious of. It's not considered a complete channel because it's not all black.
Is it the 63? Is that the I Ching?
It's related to the I Ching. All these gates correspond with the I Ching. So it's related to the I Ching and to our DNA. And
So,
then this
I
forward
just have
channel
to
that
show you
is
what's
connecting
been
with the
sitting
red.
before I found Tammy next to my desk. The I Ching and the DNA. It's been sitting there for like a couple months, and then yesterday after we got off the call, I turned it on and they were talking about aliens and the I Ching and the DNA, and I was like, they're really talking to us loud and clear. So Tammy, I'm feeling some divine timing going on here.
Yeah, it's definitely all fitting together, very much so.
Okay, so we've gone about 50 minutes right now. So I'm going to open it up to everybody because you basically covered this chart.
Mhm.
And then we'll kind of tell you what we got going on, things you can join us in, and what we have planned in for next week. So what I'll do, guys, is I will open up everybody. And if you want to, if you haven't been on here before, like Jackie, I'm not sure, I put ask to start video. If you want to be seen, then you can be seen, and you can unmute yourself also. If you look at the bottom, there should be a, yeah, there's Marjorie. She jumps right in because she knows how. We use Zoom in my class, and every class we love Zoom.
Hey, Tim.
Hi, Jackie.
Okay, I'm gonna unmute you.
Hi.
I love the
Hello.
power of the mute. There's Margot. I kind of am a sing talker, if you know me at all, and I get really excited like when I see people. Your hair looks great, Margot.
Oh, good.
That's Pink Lady. She has an ice cream shop, so be really nice to her. My favorite. Are the workers still there, Marjorie? Okay, because that's why she's muted, or her dogs. Okay, guys, so I want to thank everybody that showed up on Facebook Live. I'm going to close that down right now, and we're going to hang out here for a little bit. This is has been the most fun part to me is after the class. So make sure to go to the Momentum U page on Facebook, share this out, and if you didn't get your chart, you can still get it up until next Wednesday. All right, thank you. Everybody wave to live streamers on Facebook. Alrighty, and then I'll stop this recording. Thank you, everybody who's showing up.
Thank you. How much do you